In earlier sessions, we looked at how innovation happens in organisations. This is continuing to evolve, and what we see today is a trend with large organisations towards opening up the way they innovate. The idea of opening up the innovation process is a hot topic in many organisations today. It's based on the general idea that organisations can no longer rely solely on their own expertise and skills to develop and sustain successful innovation. Here we're going to explore this further with Krsto, looking at simple models and also showing some practical examples.
We have already discussed that innovation is a collective endeavor where different individuals and different organizations actually come together. This network nature of innovation has been further popularized by the concept of open innovation. The term open innovation has been coined by Henry Chesbrough. He suggested a couple of ideas that companies actually have to be mindful that the knowledge can come from outside. So it's always possible to acquire the knowledge from outside in order to support internal innovation processes. What is perhaps even more original in his proposal is his argument that big technology-intensive organizations will very likely produce more intellectual property that they can commercialize through their strategies and their business models. So this is why they should think carefully how to use this intellectual property that they don't commercialize through the existing business model, and they should think about licensing IP or spinning out the companies. In a nutshell, the idea about open innovation, of course, is that not all smart people actually work for your company. The concept of open innovation has had a huge impact on innovation practitioners. But what we have seen that different companies and different innovation managers interpret the concept of open innovation slightly differently. Original approach, of course, is that the market for intellectual property exists and the companies are challenged whether to acquire IP from external sources or to find a way to commercialize their internal IP. The companies, however, very often refer to open innovation in a slightly different context. For some companies, they use open innovation as almost umbrella term for every sort of collaboration they are doing. So, for example, collaboration with university, collaboration with small enterprises, everything fits under the umbrella of open innovation. Very often, and increasingly so, what we see that the companies refer to open innovation projects as to those projects where intellectual property is not that sensitive, or in the project where they don't quite know where the intellectual property is going to come from. At the end of the day, what is now also quite timely when we talk about open innovation are the different concepts of crowdsourcing, which assume that the capacity for problem solving is widely distributed and we can access, with help from information technology, expertise of the crowd. A crowdsourcing project will usually run through some characteristic phases. First, the company will actually develop a project and describe the problem. It's useful to describe the problem very clearly, and the company would hope that the problem is not too complex, that they don't have to provide too many informations. The next step is choosing an open innovation platform, so the IT platform that will actually enable collection of different contributions from the crowd. The next step is to develop guidelines for community and identify the prize for the winner. The next phase is so-called online phase, where people who self-select to contribute submit their ideas of how the problem can be solved, and the process concludes with a jury evaluating the idea and select the winner.
As we can see, we're heading towards a network environment with many people and different players involved. During crowdsourcing, you've seen how wide this network can become when the right technology is in place. Can you think of an example of crowdsourcing that's inspired you or that you've been involved with?